Greetings everyone, I am the Hipster Snek, evolving before your very eyes today. Every now and then a game will come along that's just so bizarre that it defies all logic. EVO Search for Eden is one such game. EVO debuted in the Western world in 1993 and tells the tale of life on Earth, starting from the era of early fish, moving up to the era of early humankind. Do you remember Spore, that project that effectively caused Maxis to self-destruct once and for all? Yeah, me neither. EVO really is one of a kind, barring the PC-98 game upon which it's based, but I digress. As a game that focuses on life and change as its primary story and gameplay all in one. And this is the internet, so I need to say this up front so there's no ambiguity. The comment section will not become a debate section for creationism and evolution. We are here to have fun and relish how zany this weird and cartoony game actually is. First of all, I have to say, I dig the graphics. Everything is, as said, very much like a cartoon, with animals you encounter having large eyes and exaggerated details. It's impressive to know this game was rendered with sprites alone, as this is a very large number of ways to evolve your creatures, even in the early fish stage. Defeated enemies turn into this cartoony steak on a bone for you to wolf down, and the bosses are large and detailed pretty well, usually making funny faces when they're suffering damage. If I had to issue a complaint, it would be that the backgrounds are kind of dull and don't really enhance the game's appeal very much. In early reviews of the game, it was marred repeatedly for its graphics, and I tend to think that's where the problem really is. As for the audio, I really just don't have much to say. It's effective, but it's hardly the standout of the game. Sure, it gets the job done, but you'll never catch me humming it once the game gets turned off. As for the gameplay, it really lands in a bit of a mixed bag. While the evolution mechanic is pretty interesting and certain elements of it do allow for pretty impressive customization, there are definitive best parts you can evolve on any given level. And yes, I mean level in the traditional sense. The game progresses in a strictly linear fashion, so you can think of the game as an action platformer that just so happens to have some RPG elements in it. When you defeat another animal, you then get to eat the resulting meat, which restores some health and gives you a certain amount of EVO points, usually in proportion to the difficulty of the kill. Once enough EVO points are accumulated, you can call up the evolution menu at any time and spontaneously evolve just about anything. Legs or fins to tails, different types of skin, jaws, horns, you name it. You can even save the forms you attain in an in-game encyclopedia for future reference, and more on that in just a sec. During the fish level, you're free to swim in 8 directions, and your ambition is to eat everything that moves, and a couple of things that don't. All this is detailed in the game's unusual opening cutscene, whereupon we meet Gaia, spirit of the earth. She's a naked, blue-haired anime woman for some reason. Yeah, okay, I accept that at face value, I guess. After all, Earth is technically a heavenly body. Ooh, I apologize for that joke. Anyway, we have to compete with other animals to become her #1 sweetheart and get to go to Eden, some vaguely defined eternal paradise. This raises so many questions, and the game just won't answer any of them, so let's go back to being a stupid little guppy and focus. The first drawback to any of the game's mechanics is there is zero mercy invincibility. It is entirely probable your first death will be a cheap one, since you'll get hit, enter a damage animation that's funny the first time you see it and infuriating every time after, and then probably just get hit again and again. You'll have no time to fight back or move away, and if the game feels particularly petty, that's just it. Thankfully, dying is a slap on the wrist, as you'll be rescued from the possibility of actually game overing by Gaia at the cost of half your EVO points, which is frustrating but not the end of the world. Anyway, once you have a head full of steam, it can be a bit of a power trip to start throwing your fishy weight around. Ha 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 ha! That's right, you puny minnows, out of the way of the all-powerful Snek fish! Oh, the boss is a giant shark? Well, that's too bad for you. I got hundreds of EVO points, unlimited chances to regrow my horn if it breaks, and a head full of mad. I rule these seas now! Wait, where am I supposed to go now? The beach? Yeah, no, that seems right, I guess. I just got turned into a chubby pollywog. And Gaia reduced my EVO points to 0. Oh man, that is a total buzzkill. Ooh, I guess the only thing I rule now is the inability to jump in a dignified manner. Unfortunately, this theme becomes recurring. For a lot of the early game, you're going to be stuck in a really weak form trying to work your way up from the bottom, and honestly it gets harder from being an amphibian going forward. Your vertical movement's severely restricted now that you can't swim. As an amphibian, your first enemies are going to be prehistoric cockroaches, and they'll whoop your froggy butt if you aren't careful. So a lot of the game you're going to be grinding, so there isn't so much a difficulty curve per se, it's more like a W. Several peaks and valleys that are all more or less artificially designed. And that's a real shame, because getting a new set of parts and continuing to customize my fish into some kind of terrifying salamander creature would have been way cooler than this Snek flop I have here. Anyway, the game goes on into the era of insects and amphibians, where you'll, at different points, eat one, protect the other, then eat the other and protect the opposite, and then end up eating both. Yeah, the game is very arbitrary at times, where certain creatures are okay to eat and certain ones aren't. In fact, successfully killing and eating the closest thing this game has to plot pivotal NPC will auto-kill you and reduce your EVO points to 0, but in a later level you'll eat the same amphibian type as him, and the game will reward you. How random. Alright, let's skip some grinding and get on ahead. We're then told that we're going to move into the age of dinosaurs. Wait, I get to be a dinosaur now? There is absolutely no way this isn't going to be awesome. Oh, this isn't going to be awesome. Back to grinding, I guess. While I'm doing that, let's talk about the game mechanic that the game just never gets around to explaining. The crystals. They come in different colors and each have different effects. Yellow crystals are tutorials, mostly telling you obvious stuff that you should really already know. Blue crystals just give you some EVO points, and there's really only like 3 or 4 of those in the entire game. Red crystals temporarily grant you a unique form, mostly so you can record it into the encyclopedia. And lastly are green crystals. When you eat your greens, nothing will immediately happen. That's because the game carries an invisible counter, always allowing the player the chance to evolve into a form from the encyclopedia for a short time. Nothing in the game will tell you this, actually, despite it opening up some really funny boss-busting moments. The really cool thing about this is that even if you start a new game, your encyclopedia entries will stay. This means that even starting a new game with a chance to briefly use these strong or unique forms where they matter the most in future runs. Most people who play this game will never even actually realize that, but that's why the book is included at all. Anyways, here's the best advice I can possibly give you if you want to beat this game, especially if you want to do it in just one run with no restarts. In the middle of the era of dinosaurs, there's a level called Mount Brave. Like many other levels in the game, it's actually entirely optional. And it's hard, courtesy of truly obnoxious pterodactyl dinosaurs trying to throw you off the mountain like a bunch of jerks. But you want to do it. You want to complete the level properly by scaling the mountain. So you'll want to evolve parts that will let you move quickly and jump high. If you can do that, you can outpace or even eat the flying dinos that get in your way. Once at the top, you'll be prompted to leap off Mount Brave. You need to do it. I know this sounds like a terrible idea, but just do it. This gives you the game's best form, birds. Not a parrot or a blue jay, no. We're talking about ancient bird-reptile hybrids that get the best of both parts available from the dinosaur options and new ones with better armor and agility for birds, making it bar none the best form in the game. With the ability to fly, you can now trivialize the remainder of the game. Does this mean that this form will let you become a terrifying flying Allosaurus the size and durability of a tank who eats mammoths? Yes. Yes, you can. I dub her the Snekopteryx. Yeah, you can choose to become a mammal later on, which has 2 Easter egg forms that you might be curious about, but don't waste your time in limited EVO points. Mammals are terrible. If this game is anywhere near the same time zone as scientific accuracy, chickens would be the dominant animals on Earth and not useless humans. I mean, I'm a Snek, but I'm still grinding EVO points, so give me some time. I'm sure a few more chicken wings and I'll be there soon enough, but that aside. Rinse, repeat, dominate the skies as a bird and have no regrets in doing so. I really don't want to spoil anything past that part because the game goes absolutely crazy and it's actually pretty entertaining. That also doubles as a really good summary of the game. In some ways it's stilted, but it's still fun to play. It's grindy, but it's actually kind of a brisk game. If you were to circumvent the grind, the game can be beaten in a short afternoon. It's quirky and cartoony, and yet has moments that are a bit grim, too. I can kinda see how that when it was first released, EVO was viewed as a bit of a mess. It doesn't help matters that the cartridge is kind of hard to find nowadays, and near as I can tell, it never received new lease on life on Virtual Console either, which is kind of a shame. I mean, the game was made by Enix, so with that kind of backing you'd think they'd make a greater effort to keep the title alive. Especially something this creative and bizarre. If you ever get the chance to play it, you definitely should, even if just out of curiosity. This has been the Hipster Snek. If you liked what you saw here today, be sure to hit that like button every time. If you haven't yet and you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe and bell icons down below. And if the game piqued your curiosity, leave a comment down below telling me if you found it interesting. Join me next time as we continue to unearth the bizarre and ever-evolving world of obscure games in 7th Dragon. I'll see you there.